if Dursey is Drew Doughty light, well, I think Jordan Spence is Dursey light.
This is LA Kings Fan Talk with your boys, Rodney, Rob, and Darren.
All right.
What's up, Kings fans? Welcome to the mid-season review. Joining us today is our esteemed colleague, Joe.
Hey. Yeah.
Rock and roll.
Let's jump right into this. Darren, start with you. What are your thoughts on the Kings season so far?
I think it's been a good season for them. I mean, we all hoped that they would be in the playoff hunt. If you told us at the beginning of the season we'd be second or third in Pacific, depending on what metric you use, I think we'd all be pretty happy with that as long as they keep up this pace. I think we have to be relatively happy. So to me, I think it's been a good season. And if we keep playing in good, meaningful games later on, even better.
Joe, what do you think?
Yeah, I had no idea what to expect this season, so I'm pleasantly surprised. I mean, I was setting the bar a lot lower than where they're at right now, for sure. The biggest positive so far, well, it's really over the last month or two, is the secondary scoring. That's been something that's been lacking always been lacking, except for the years that they made it to the Cup. So it's good to see that. I think the one thing that maybe a little bit frustrating is some of the higher end prospects. You want to see. That's where we need to fill holes for sure. Is we need some top end talent, but having like depth players, particularly like we were talking earlier before all this nonsense started. But Lazat's another guy where it's like that guy was like they could have thrown him off the ship without a floaty, and I wouldn't have cared. But that guy's definitely a key part of the team at this point. I mean, whether he's there in 2 or 3 years, who knows what will happen, but he's definitely heart and soul, him and Dano. Big fans of both those guys.
Yeah, and that Moore guy is not doing too bad either, right?
Yeah, he's still that Moore guy. I mean, he scores goals, but consistency. I like the heart from the other two guys. But no, he's awesome too. But definitely a pleasant surprise there. I'm just curious if he'll keep it up. Not sure about that. I didn't know anything about him before he came here. A lot of these younger guys, I mean, there's so many of them, it's hard to keep track. So, hey, at least some of them are working out. That's a lot better than we could say 365 days ago. It's the team was just like, I'm like, do we rebuild from the rebuild? And I think it's clear that we're on the way back up. So hopefully in the next year or two, they'll probably be a pretty good team, I think. Yeah, that's all I got to say about that. I'm pleasantly surprised.
Rob, what are your thoughts?
I don't even know what metric.
Let me qualify it with one thing. Just as long as they don't do a complete nosedive the rest of the season. If they go 500 the rest of the season, that's fine. I'll still be happy with it. But if they just go fucking belly up, then I'd be pissed off. But I still think at this point in the season, we've got enough of a sample size to say that we've got something in some of these players. So, yeah. All right, Rob, back on you.
Thank you, Joe. I'm still dwelling. I was lost after metric, and it's still whatever metric you use puts us in second or third. What I don't even know what that means, Darren. But
you have points or you have points percentage. That's all I'm saying. Okay, by points percentage, we're third.
Okay, right now, how about when you type in ESPN and look at the standings? Yeah. ESPN tells us we're in second. I think we're
exactly.
In second. That's a metric.
Come on, Darren. We're just dumb Kings fans. We're
not. You have to take into account Calgary's coming. You know what I mean? Especially with that game.
So if you're a fan of the podcast, you would know that I've said that. I've said that multiple times. Vegas and Calgary are going to be up there. Although I think Vegas is within striking distance for us. If we catch fire and they go in any kind of slump, things can flip-flop with us in Vegas.
Yeah, I think even that game that game we play next week, we can catch them. I think by that point,
but I'm just saying in the long run, even. But as far as my expectations, I'm on record saying we are a playoff team in the Pacific. I'm sure our buddy Justin would love to hear me say this, that the Pacific is the weakest division. I have said that on record, that we are in the weakest division. And I think we are a playoff team in this division because we are better than the Sharks. We're better than, I think, the Ducks. I think we're going to be better than a couple of the Canadian teams, is what my official statement was. And I also said the Kraken suck. They will not make the playoffs when everybody else had the Kraken in the playoffs. So that left us in a playoff spot. So halfway through, as I see it, we are where we are supposed to be, which is by different metrics, third place, because Calgary's on their way up. Right there.
Do any of you guys know, like Darren might, because he's stats guy, but I know I saw something about like a large percentage of the Kings' points are coming from Eastern Conference games.
Yep.
So
a large, we have a great record against the East right now.
We do.
So, but you're still confident they'll make the playoffs, even with all that said.
Yeah, I do. Yeah, I know. That's the thing. Are we going to stay in second place? Is a different story. I still think we could squeak in third, and even I don't know if a fourth team is going to come from the Pacific. That's good. That's the scary part of it.
Yeah, I was saying, it doesn't look like they're going to have a shot at a wild card. They're going to have to make it in the first three, right?
Right. So basically, we're going to have to beat the Ducks, hold on, and hope Edmonton continues to implode. I hope they didn't. As we're recording, Tippett got fired right now, so let's not hope. Let's hope that Edmonton doesn't turn things around with a new coach coming in, and because obviously when you have the two best players in the world.
Yeah, that's going to happen. I mean, how many coaches have they gone through in the last 10 years?
And how many first-round picks and all that stuff. But
maybe they'll hire Coach Q. He's a job.
Look what happened with the Canucks when they got their new coach this year.
Well, they went on a hot streak.
What happened?
They've leveled back off again. So we'll see. But yeah, halfway through the season, I'm where I kind of would have liked to be. And I'm surprised that – how's this? I'm not surprised about the Kings. I'm surprised that my prediction was right so far. That's what I'm surprised at, because I'm never right.
How about this? Darren, what do the Kings –
Ain't over yet.
What'd you say?
What'd you say?
I said it ain't over yet.
Yeah, true.
But fair enough. Sorry, I keep cutting you guys off. Go ahead.
Darren, what do the Kings have to do to stay in the race?
Yeah, I think to stay in the race, they got to improve their special teams for sure. Like I think you look at their 5-on-5 play, the Kings are a -13 on special teams, meaning goals for minus goals against, total shorthanded power play. That's the third worst. This isn't like an actual, like, you just add up all the stats. They're the third worst team special teams wise. And so that tells you that their 5-on-5 play is really good. So I think if they bring up that special teams play, they could really, that's going to keep them in the playoff spot. That's going to keep them above Ducks, the Edmonton, all that stuff. I mean, you could talk about additions, whatever, but at this point, I don't know if the Kings can do rentals. I think if they're going to make trades, it's going to be, guys who are going to be hockey trades. Sorry, guys. Hold on. Hey, not going to.
I love the way he was mansplaining things right now. It was awesome.
Sorry. But I think they're going to have to make hockey trades. I don't think it's going to be like rental type guys, because we're not at that point in our trajectory as a team. Like, I don't think we're making the cup this year as much as, we want them to win every year. But I think just improving their special teams, especially, like, it's been abysmal how bad it is. So I think that would be step number one.
Let's say one of the Kings coaches accidentally clicks on this video on YouTube and he gets to hear you here. How do the Kings fix special teams? What do they have to do?
I mean, there's a couple different things. I think the power play could use a lot more movement. I've said that before. Like, you look at our we set up in 5, and our guys rarely. If you look at other teams, they're doing this. You know what I mean? Like their wingers are rotating spots. It causes confusion, and we don't cause that confusion. And I think that'd be number one. It's just we got to get some movement. We got to create some chaos a little bit. You know what I mean?
Is that a whiteboard behind you? Can you show us what you're talking about?
With a Sharpie.
I don't think they would like it if I wrote on the walls, but yeah, no, they I think that's the main thing is on the power play, create confusion. On the penalty kill, honestly, it's our goalies who have been really bad on the penalty kill. They have not been good. Like quick stats compared to like the last couple of years on the power or them being on the penalty kill has been noticeably worse, and Peterson has not been good either. So, and it's been both of them. So it's not like it's one or the other. So it's just got to improve goalie play. Honestly, like I don't think it's anything. It might not be too much schematic wise. So
I was going to ask, is one of the goalies better than the other? Because then we could like maybe pull that goalie in just for penalty kill.
I wish. Make it easier.
Progressive coaching tactics, Rod. Sorry.
Joe, what do you think? What do the Kings have to do to stay in it besides win?
Well, score more goals than the other team consistently, which is kind of the same thing. Yeah, I mean, Darren, I think, nailed it. But I'll kind of take an aside here. I think it's a real positive that the Kings are scoring 5-on-5. That's always been their problem. They've always been, maybe not the greatest power play team, but through the regular season, even the years that they're good, they were relied on their penalty kill and their defense at even strength. And then, the scoring, a lot of the scoring they're getting was from the power play. Now it's, they can carry the play 5-on-5 and just, the scoring on the power play. So I would not make any trades for one. I would just let's just see what we have in these players. No reason to give them any help. And at the same time, no reason to give anything away. I would just take the whole season. Who cares if they fall flat on their face? Let's just see what we got and then take it up next year. So I wouldn't go down that road. They'll probably do something if they're in a playoff spot just to probably throw a bone to the team. But I mean, we got such a log jam of players right now. It's just unless you're going to get a good upgrade, which you're going to have to pay to get, then I don't see. It's kind of a just doing it just to making a move just to do. But if there's something out there that particularly probably on the defense, I think more than anything, because I think that's where there's been a lot more inconsistency in the lineup. But yeah, it's got to keep on trucking, man. Like they just keep playing the way they're playing, and they're fine.
Park and ride.
Yeah, exactly. So, but long term, good things that they're scoring even strength, and the power play can be fixed. It's kind of surprising too. Like I don't know too much about McClellan's like history and stuff, but obviously San Jose always had like a really good power play, even when he wasn't there and whatnot. So it is a bit head scratching to see. That's when you start to wonder, is it the players? And I would say if you're going to tweak something on the power play, stop with setting it up. Just roll it like it's 5-on-5. And that's how like Dano, when they start rolling like the second line is like the second power play unit. And they're just going out there skating up and taking scoring chances off rushes and not really concerned about, gaining the zone, setting it up. Because then that's where they've been effective scoring 5-on-5 goals too, is on that transition and on rushes. So, that's working there, then why not use it on the power play? As far as the penalty kill goes, I have no clue. Like, it's just, I don't know. I think in Kings years past, we're used to seeing a lot of block shots and just a lot more effectiveness at clearing or clogging up passing lanes and stuff. And so it just seems like a bit of a shit show. Once shit starts going awry, everybody's running around chasing their tails and stuff. So I have no idea how to fix that other than get better players, better defensive players. But anyway, I'll leave it at that.
I wonder if McClellan is trying to get Marco Sturm fired because that was not one of his boys. He was inherited, so he's going to let him crap on special teams.
I love a good conspiracy theory, but I don't really have a dog in the fight there. So who knows?
Rob, same question for you.
Needs improvement.
Well, I agree with lots of points that were said already. But on the other end of the trading, I agree with you, Joe, about I don't necessarily want to make trades. I don't want to get rid of what we have because I like what we have, and I think what we have might grow and get better. And the more simmering it goes, if we leave kids down longer and let them develop even more, it's just going to help the organization in the long run. However, because we do have such a logjam, I almost want to make a trade just to free up some movement. And if we can do it for the right player and get a player that has a lot of term left, a lot of years left on a contract, I would love to see maybe. I think that's why everyone wants Chikrin. He could become part of the team. It's not a rental and whatnot. So if we do make any kind of trades to improve the team, I hope it's a smart hockey trade and not a rental trade, as Darren was saying. So like I said, I agree with a lot of the points there. What I didn't agree with, Darren, you're going to become the new Mike. I'm just going to pick on you. I can't even begin to sit there and talk about X's and O's and they need to do this and they need to do that. I don't know what they need to do. I'm not a coach. I've never played professional hockey before. They need to just get better. And however pros get better, that's what they need to do. They the power play sucks and it needs to get better. If that's a coaching thing, if that's an assistant coach's thing, then address that. If it's a player's thing, then address that. But identify the problem, figure out how to fix it, and the team's going to be better. So
I still don't know why they're rolling Dustin Brown on the power play. It's a head scratcher for me. But.
Yeah.
Well, if it's part of their plan to have a guy in front of the net that has some decent hands and a little tough, I can see why. But is that their philosophy on power play? Who knows what the philosophy is, because we just suck that bad. You can't even tell what we're trying to do on the power play. Are we trying to set up a one-timer? Are we trying to set up something down low for a little tic-tac-toe? Are we trying to set up for point shot? I don't know what we're doing.
Yeah, to me, it seems like it's a lot of the same shit that Sutter was doing, whatever, 7, 8, 9 years ago, where it's basically open up a one-timer to Doughty or potentially Kopitar. Kopitar sits on the half wall, like Darren said, very predictable. Where the coach is the problem is not even just the X's and O's, it's the personnel he's putting out there. I think that's really the problem. You're putting out a bunch of – when you're putting Kopitar and Doughty and Brown on a power play line, you're going to see Kopitar stand on the half wall giving Doughty one-timers. I would put some younger guys out there, and like I don't know how what's his name's doing. Guy I liked before they got sent down, first round pick. What's his name? Velarde, good hands. That guy's got sick hands. That guy can make plays. But granted, you don't want to call a guy up and just put him on the power play. But coming from that mindset, put guys that have good skill. Just put guys. If it can't get any worse, just put guys with good skill out there and just tell them, see what happens. Yeah. Just don't get caught with your pants down. Just don't get scored on. And then if something works, then all right, we'll try that again. Because whatever they're trying to do is abysmal, to say the least. But to me, it looks like a lot of. Go ahead. Yeah, I was just saying it was like
to me, it doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense why you wouldn't put Byfield out there. I don't think he plays on either power play unit. And I don't watch the Reign games too much, but I see a lot of his highlights, and a lot of his goals are those greasy, grimy goals around the net, rebounds, bringing it from behind the net. Why isn't he in the Dustin Brown spot? You know what I mean? He's bigger, he's got more skill around the net, and at worst he can move with Kopitar, move with Iafallo and those guys. You know what I mean? That's the guy who I think they should definitely be given some power play time. What's that?
Who'd you say?
Byfield.
Oh,
yeah, Byfield. He's not on either power play unit because they roll. What is it? Kopitar, Kempe, Iafallo, Brown, Doughty on line one, and then
they roll line two for the power play two.
Line two plus Kaliev and Dursey. So it's to me, put Byfield in that Brown spot. Number one, he's bigger in front of the net. He can screen the goalie a little bit more effective. I know Brown's done it for years, but I don't know. That's one area. So like I said, I think just creating chaos, because you watch a lot of the successful power play units, besides like, the Tampa Bays and Washingtons of the world, who actually their power play isn't that great, but they just score timely goals. But they move, you know what I mean? Like they're consistently interchanging, 4-1 moves to 4-2, so on and so forth. That's why I think the movement is what would help. I think it stop being stagnant, you know what I mean? So
No, I was gonna say we do need more Grunstrom though. Fan of his. Yeah, that's a problem. Is like there's so many
but
players.
at the expense of less who?
I don't know.
I said it
I'd have
last
to look
week.
at the roster. I'd have to look at the
I said it last
roster.
week. I think you do Lemieux for a game. Just kind of try and spark something in him.
All right, guys, any lineup changes you want to see based on our current roster, based on not pulling anybody up, just what we have right now? Any lineup changes? Who wants to start?
Yeah, I think
Darren.
pulling Grunstrom in for a game or two, and it's the one complaint I have with McClellan is he doesn't make those changes when we're winning to kind of fire a guy up, even if the guy isn't playing well. And I think a guy like Lemieux, he's been kind of pedestrian since this calendar year. I think we said last week he has 1 goal. It's like a guy like him, pull him out of the roster, tell him, hey, you need to step it up to get back in, kind of show him, hey, you can come out of the roster even if we're winning. So I think Grunstrom for Lemieux, even for a game or two, would be fine. And if Grunstrom earns some more time, maybe you put him in over Athanasiou or Brown. I don't think you mess with the top 2 lines unless things go horribly wrong up there. But that's kind of where I'm at.
Joe?
Yeah, I think the one guy I did like, and I still like, but think is redundant is I don't know how to say his last name.
You can call him Double A.
Yeah, there you go. Numbers, whatever he is, number 22, right? Is that right?
Yes,
22.
Yes, he's 22.
Yeah. Okay, so that guy, he's like Andrea Kempe's like insignificant twin. I kind of have the same skill set, but Kempe's definitely upped his game to another level. So if Kempe's in the game and so is Double A guy, I would pull him for Grunstrom as well. I think Grunstrom's getting the short end of the stick in terms of the roster decisions. The guy plays physical. I think he's got way more scoring ability than he's shown because he's not really been given the opportunity to do that. But aside from that, dude's going out there and he's playing third line, fourth line hockey. He's playing the body and scoring goals too with limited minutes. What has he got, like 5 or 6 goals, right?
Yeah, 6 goals.
Yeah.
Yep.
So he's a guy that definitely I think should be in the lineup more.
Would you dare pull Brown out of the lineup?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
For
I mean, that's a
Grunstrom?
no-brainer. Yes, that's a no-brainer. But does he play on the left side or the right side, Grunstrom?
He's a left winger.
I know he's a lefty.
He's a left
but
winger. Yeah.
okay.
He's left winger.
Okay.
I think they played Athanasiou on the right side last season though with Carter, if I remember correctly. So he can do it. So he can play on his offside. So if you do Athanasiou on the right with Byfield and Grunstrom, that could be a fun line.
Yeah. More Grunstrom.
Yeah.
So
And along
Rob,
those same,
I was going to say, Rob, same question, but are you going to say Iafallo, pull him out for Grunstrom? Or?
Not at all. Grunstrom's basically the only guy that you're talking Elias Anderson. Everyone, is the only other guy on the roster that you said, because since you limited that we can't pull anybody up. And that's what I'm saying. I've seen enough to know I think Grunstrom deserves more time over Elias Anderson, over Kupari. In agreement with Darren, Brendan Lemieux, he was the cat's meow the first 20 games of the season. Hey, what's our record with Lemieux in there? And he has slowed down. Putting Grunstrom in for him, I think that line doesn't lose much of anything because Grunstrom is physical, so he can replace Lemieux's physicalness. Scoring touch with those guys, because I think Lazat's the one that really drives that line. So you're not going to lose a driver if you do sit Lemieux. And and if he catches fire, if that line catches fire with that kind of stuff, this brings me back to what we just talked about just a little bit ago. This is why I'm not opposed to trading, even though I love where we're at and I love this is what I'm talking about. Trade. If we trade a couple guys and just free up that spot or two, so we can, get guys like Grundstrom in, and as far as I'm concerned, they could trade Kupari. I don't want to trade Brown. I want Brown. I want it for nostalgia, and I don't care how much it cripples the franchise. I want him to never not be a King. So
Right.
That's fine. And then they should just, due to his old age and lack of effectiveness in certain nights, just tell him, hey, we're trying to keep you fresh. We'll put Grundstrom in for
absolutely.
Yeah.
I agree with that. Yes. Instead of him playing 82 games, let's make him a 65 game kind of guy.
I'd go with 50 or 55.
Call it a rest day.
Yeah.
And they do in the NBA all the time, right?
Hey, can I go off on a tangent real quick?
Of course.
I think.
Wait. But before you go on your tangent, understand one of the 17 listeners that we have might comment about the disorganization. Okay, go ahead. Tangent.
Wait. One more thing before you start. Since you guys were talking about pulling Lemieux out, we just can't pull Lemieux out if we're playing Calgary or Ottawa. Just FYI.
Oh,
No.
one last thing.
Absolutely not. Pick your spots for sure.
Hey, but with Lemieux, also, you have to understand, Lemieux, we have to keep him happy because his sister needs to still be part of the organization. Okay.
I have not seen his sister.
And that's a perfect segue into what Joe was about to talk about. Let's go, Joe.
No, all I was going to say is I just had this thought, like I don't know, like a month or two ago, and when before the Kings had really, kind of gotten on a couple of different roles where I'm like, all right, this isn't just a flash in the pan, like it was last season where they won 6 or 7 games in a row and then just decided to stop playing the rest of the year. They've had streaks over and over. But what I found interesting is with the whole COVID protocol, you'd have the coach who's been forced, who maybe would not have put guys in, has been forced to, and I think has been the benefactor of, that whole protocol and all that stuff, because he's forced to put players in and those guys have kind of excelled. So I kind of just thought about it because that's kind of reminded me of it was in like the 2005 lockout, right? When they said like the reason the 2003 draft class was so good is they got a full year playing at the AHL level against NHL players. So kind of a tweener year. Not that that's comparable, but just the whole, it's a different dynamic with, the whole, you're getting players into meaningful games that otherwise might not have. And I think because the Kings have such that logjam that you're really getting a chance to, without just experimenting for the sake of experimenting, getting to see like, okay, well, this guy's getting a chance for 2 or 3 games.
Right.
Yeah.
I think I don't know if you remember the conversation we had at your bachelor party, Joe. So I don't know.
Probably
if you
not.
remember. I actually was talking about the benefits of the taxi squad, yeah, and how much experience certain guys that wouldn't be getting experience, but because of the situation and stuff like that. Yeah.
So that you probably planted that idea in my mind subconsciously.
No, well, what's funny
it surfaced when I wasn't 3 sheets to the wind.
Yeah, exactly.
That sounds like one amazing bachelor party. Just let me say.
Those that stayed for both days.
All right. Defenseman. All right, with Roy coming back, are you guys happy with the defensive pairings going forward, or do you want to see some changes? And if you do, what pairings would you do? Darren, you want to start?
Yeah, I mean, I don't think there's much you can change. You got Doughty. I don't know. How long is Anderson out? He should be back soon as well, right? I think they said
unknown. Yeah.
So assuming he's healthy, I think Anderson, Doughty, Roy Mata, and Bjorn Foot and Jersey have been working for us. I mean, you pair Mata, who's, a liability sometimes defensively, with Roy, who's steady Eddie back there. And, they don't do much offensively, which is where you like we would hope to get more out of some of our D is offensively, but if they're not a negative defensively, that's fine as well. So I don't think you make too many changes. I mean, without making a trade. So I think I'm good with them.
Joe?
Yeah, I mean, I definitely do not have my finger on the pulse of the LA Kings defense, but one thing I do see people posting online is about trading Matt Roy, and I don't get that at all. I think that would, I wouldn't say be the last person I would trade, but I don't understand why people think that he's expendable. I guess I'll put it that way. But in terms of pairings, I don't know. The only thing you got to get rid of is Oli Mata. This guy is a train wreck. He's a nice, looks like a nice, pretty young Scandinavian dude, but outside of that, what a shit show.
That's good. We can go right to Rob with that because that is his favorite player. I want to hear what he says about that.
You know damn well he's not. I'm a positive guy. You know how that goes. And hell, I even was talking about how Roy, for those there was a 6-game stretch where I was at my wit's end with Roy. Even I'm like, damn it, did we just commit to the wrong guy? But he has righted the ship. He is solid as can be, and worth every penny we're paying him. So I'm happy with Roy. Mata, I just don't hate him as much as most of the Kings contingent hates him. I understand. I see the frustration on some of the play, but I just think it's a little magnified and overblown a little. That's all. But when you're looking,
it always is.
Yes. Yeah. And when you look
but
I
don't hate him. I just, if there's something that's, like they say with defense. Sorry to cut you off, but
you just called him a shit show though, and that was mean. Don't be mean, Joe.
Because there's plenty of moments where he is, and the thing what I'm going to say is, people always say like, oh, if you're not talking about the defense, that's a good thing, and I think we can both count on two hands the amount of times in this season where you're just like, what the hell,
yeah.
The hell is he doing, or it's not even like just bad decisions with the puck. It's just like he's in no man's land.
He's been a lot better as of late, and like I said, sure. I see what everyone's.
He's not complete dog shit. He's not complete dog shit, but it's definitely the weakest link.
Yes,
for sure.
Yeah. Oh, yes. See, I just softened you right now because you went from shit show to not dog shit, and I love it. I love that you softened. It's great.
I didn't soften. That's not softening. No, it's yeah.
So you still want to be mean, is what you're saying?
No, when I said shit show, I was just having a thought of him just falling on his face while somebody skates around him. So that is a shit show, by the way.
I do want to say, that's our 6, the 6 that we have right now. It was great seeing Strand come up and help out for the while he was there. Move Rare was awesome. The few games he came and played with us, great. And I think our D, the 6D we have, are our 6D that we have. If someone falls by the wayside due to whatever, we have capable guys that could come in and fill in for time beings. And it's one of our actual strong points. So, as far as the roster goes.
So would you bring up Will Landon as the 7th D-man so that the kids can get more playing time down there?
Yeah, you could. Well, you could take your pick of who you want for the 7th defenseman. Because like I said, those 3 guys, Will Landon, Strand, and Mouvre, as a 7th defenseman, who gives a crap?
I think you'll see them rotate like Strand, Will Landon, Movrari, all 3 of them. I almost called them Mover, Rob, damn it.
Mover.
You'll see them rotate those guys to keep them off waiver eligibility, but also playing games. So I think those 3 will kind of rotate.
Here's something. Hopefully, one of the 13 listeners we have.
We lost 4 already.
Yeah, during this episode alone. Jordan Spence is waiver exempt, and you want to talk about if Dursey is Drew Doughty light. Well, I think Jordan Spence is Dursey light. He's got some fantastic offensive awareness. Got, he's quick. He's just a little undersized. He's, there's, how about bring up a kid that's waiver exempt and keep moving him up and down and get him his feet wet and give him some taste of the big show. We got that flexibility. Why not?
Who switches over to lefty?
I think that's the issue.
No, it doesn't matter. He's right defenseman. But what I'm saying is, as a seventh defenseman, what's it matter?
I wanted to bring up something. Did you know that Martin Ferk is scoring at a 41 goal pace?
Yes, I did know that.
Don't bring that up to Darren. He's gonna. It's all smoke and mirrors, right, Darren?
I was earlier when you were talking about the power play.
That does not translate over to the NHL. All right.
No, I'm talking about in the NHL. He played
one goal and scored one goal. Yes,
it's
still
a 41 goal pace.
Still, ask Mike or Darren. Bring him up for 10 more games. He'll score 0 goals, and it'd be a negative 40 or something like that.
I just brought that up because I knew that was a sticking point. But when you were talking about the power play earlier, I wanted to be like 3 letters: FRK.
Okay, before Darren starts talking about trade prospects, trade bait guys, whatever, understand that the whole purpose of us doing a podcast with our friends talking about our favorite team is so we can do exactly this. So we can play pretend GM, so we can play pretend coach, so we can trade players and move lines and do what fans do. And by no means do we think we have answers or anything like that, but this is going to be fun. So fire away, Darren. I'm ready for you.
All right. So we'll talk about defensemen first. We'll talk about guys who are in the rumors, and that's Calvin Dahan. I think he could be a good guy to pick up, but the problem with him, he's a rental. His contract's over in 22. Left-hand defenseman, bigger guy, defensive defenseman. Could help on the penalty kill.
I don't even know who that is. He's not on the Kings, so I have no idea who he is.
He's on Chicago, so.
Oh.
So you'll find a theme with all of the guys that I'm picking for our defense. He's like 6'3", 200, 215, something like that. He's a really big defensive defenseman.
You've got your type. Got it.
Yeah.
He's like my size.
Yeah. Any thoughts on that one? No? Again, he's in the rumors, so there's a chance he's going to go somewhere else.
So there's actually a rumor about us picking up Dahan?
It's in like he's known to be available, and the Kings are looking for left. It's one of those the puzzles fits.
Okay.
The problem with him is his contract expires this year.
Right. So absolutely pass.
Yeah.
Just simply because the contract, like you said, why trade anything for a rental? And he's not. I don't know.
Yeah. No. It's fine. All right, so I got these other guys. They're potential targets. These are the guys who I think are good fits in their age and their term of their contract. You got Damon Severson and Ryan Graves from New Jersey. The only problem with Severson is he's a right-hander, but they've both been playing pretty steadily offensively. They both put up more points than any of the Kings guys have, pretty much, besides Doughty. And both are solid defensively.
No, great.
What do their contracts look like?
I'm familiar with Graves.
Severson is 4.16 for this year and next, and then Graves is 3.16 for this year and next. So slightly, only like a year and a half, but not a rental. And they're both 20. Graves is 26, Severson is 27.
And I would lean, like I said, I'm familiar with Graves as far as understanding that he's only been in the league a few years, the way defensemen are, and there is a offensive upside to him. He's on the left side. He plays on the left side, and he's a huge dude. I don't know exactly how big he is. I just know
I think he's 6'5".
Is he? Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
And I know he's huge, and I know he's left side, and he's got some offensive skills for such a big dude.
For sure.
Why would they give up somebody like that?
That's the other part. That's going to be the reason that's hard to get him, is they did just pick him up from the Avalanche, but he was traded to be protected from the expansion draft. But I mean, the Avalanche, or not the Avalanche. The Devils are, floundering a little bit. although they won today, they're going downhill. I think, you offer them a couple picks or a couple prospects or something like that, or, lower end guys or some picks or something like that, maybe they can get him. So these aren't anyone who are rumored. This is all just like guys who I think would be fun targets. So
Oh, so this isn't even rumored?
no.
Okay,
We're starting
here.
to-
I got.
This is
I
this
gotta
is a
trade
Darren.
This is a rumor.
This is a
I gotta
Darren rumor.
trade-
Is this a
yes.
D3 or a D4?
Yeah, I was saying there's as much validity to this as there is to.
Hey, so what do you
Okay,
think about
Eklund.
targeting Nathan
Is that guy
McKinnon?
still around, by the way? Sorry.
These are realistic. I think these are realistic, to be honest. These are realistic guys. Maybe we don't get them in the season, but in the offseason.
How are the Islanders doing this season? Are they out of the
They're
playoffs?
500.
Yeah,
Then we
they're
should get
500.
Chara. Let's get some fucking Chara.
Hey,
Just so I can buy a Chara jersey to go next to my Gabrick jersey, my Kovalchuk jersey, my Gillen jersey.
Joe,
Nostalgia of the mid 2000s.
It's a nice
Islanders-
retirement jersey collection you got there.
Yes.
Islander Twitter is just on fire with they're done with Chara.
Good.
Last
So we'll take
night's game they were up 5-0 or whatever it was, and whoever they were playing last night, regardless, scored 3 goals to make it 5-3, and Chara was on the ice for all 3 of those goals, and they're all, why the hell is Chara on the ice in this game? He should never play another minute of Islander hockey. I mean, they were just going nuts. They want to kill Chara.
Yeah.
Are you saying that we should pick up Chara and roll him on
Have him at
pairing
the
with Edler once Edler comes back?
If the Kings are going to make the playoffs, honestly, I would make that move just for the guy in the locker room and the fact that he'll beat the living shit out of anybody that's on the ice.
I got one more defenseman, and we'll talk about the fun forwards.
Wait, is it Chara?
No.
Okay.
It's Travis Sanheim from Philly. He's
I don't want to see.
25.
How's this? I don't want a single flyer on our roster ever.
But
And any player that's name that rhymes with Anaheim.
can I offer a counterpoint? The last time we traded with Philly, we won a couple cups. So
No, but that's because that guy wanted it out.
I don't think he wanted out. Didn't they want him out?
Exactly. They all mutually said, yeah, I've run my course here, because all of that.
Right.
Let's hear it, Darren. I don't know who this Anaheim guy is, but
Travis Sanheim.
Chili.
He's 25. His contract's 4.65 or 4.675 for this year and next. He's big defensive D, but he has some offensive skill. He's kind of like a little bit better offensive Ryan Graves, like a little bit shorter, a little bit not quite as big, but he's got more offensive skill than Ryan Graves. So that compares him to someone you know, Rob.
Arguably. No, I'm familiar with Sanheim too, because I've actually watched Flyer games this year quite often, just so I could laugh and look at and remember what it was like to watch just shitty hockey.
Yeah.
I think Sanheim would actually be all for that trade. Anything to get out of a dumpster fire of an organization.
100%.
But no, I honestly wouldn't do it.
Yeah. So I was looking for someone. My thought was you pair a big D and you can get them with Jersey, a big defenseman, and you can pair them with Jersey, and then you pair Bjornfoot with Roy, so that we get a little bit more. Maybe you can activate Bjornfoot a little bit more in that Roy pair. So this moves Mata to the bench.
So are you saying that Darren is a fan of big Ds?
Definitely, 100%.
Darren, honestly, as far as, I mean, if we're talking pieces and depth for a long playoff push, actually they make a lot of sense, and the guys that you're mentioning are quality guys. But I want big names and big time potential coming. If we're going to make any kind of those things just to get rid of our logjam, I don't want to remove some of our logjam for guys that are still. I don't want to necessarily say Sanheim and Graves are still developing, but they're kind of still developing.
Yeah, you want the guys on my not likely but would be fun to talk about list, and Werenski, Dolly.
Sure, but that
Chikrin.
are already just absolutely proven. We know
Right.
This is who he is. Not potentially with his size and some of the skill he has shown in his first 3 years, because that's all they've played.
Yeah.
I just don't. I just
See,
wouldn't
to me,
want.
I was looking at it as he's an upgrade this year, but he's also not. He's also under contract for either next year or longer, and that way you have someone who can grow with the team. You know what I mean? So that was what I was looking for. We can talk about the wingers. So for the rumored guys, we got Dominic Kubalik. I guess he was actually a guy who,
He was ours.
again, yeah, he was ours, and I guess he's gonna be up for trade this, or rumored to be up for trade this season. Again, it's not necessarily one of those things like, oh, the Kings are in on Kubalik. It's more like potentially they're looking for a player like that, a guy who can score from the depth position of third, fourth line.
He's burned the bridge of, and this is just fan talking. I think I don't know for a fact because everything is still real fuzzy about why we were never able to sign him in the first place. And what I was hearing and reading is just the fact that he didn't want to be in our organization.
Yeah, no, these are the guys who are rumored, and they're not necessarily like my picks for who we should get, but they are guys who there's talk about them.
If we get a guy if Kubalik comes to LA, I would like for him to write a letter and post it in the LA Times. Sorry, LA, for the first time around, and then maybe I'll forgive him and then welcome him with open arms.
For sure.
Full page ad in the LA Times that nobody will ever read.
The other two guys are Jake Debrusk and JT Miller. So I think Debrusk, I definitely wouldn't want. I think Miller, his cost is going to be so high because it's in division to me. But he could be an interesting guy who could play top 6 minutes.
Who's he playing with now?
Vancouver.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I mean,
and Debrusk wants out of Boston.
He does.
I would kick the tires on both of those. Darren, you just got through saying not Debrusk, but you're the one bringing it up. I don't get it.
Oh, these are guys who are rumored, who there have been.
Debrusk has some upside, and if that is one of those, let's kick the tires. Let's see if change of scenery absolutely lights them on fire. That would be something awesome. And I think JT Miller's a bona fide stud. So
definitely, I agree with JT Miller. The problem with Debrusk for me is how many guys do we have in our organization that are going to be Jake Debrusk in a year or two? You know what I mean?
Right. Right.
We have Grundstrom, we have Athensio, we have all of these guys who are already like him. So you just said you don't want to add a guy who's going to create more logjam, and I think that just creates more logjam.
Well, not if we're getting rid of logjam to get him.
Yeah, but I don't think we're paying that much for Jake Debrusk.
Sure. No, you're right. So then why you bring it up? If that was just a setup, then you just set me up just to throw it in my face. So
I want to touch on the rumored guys because I think it's important that we talk about the guys who people have said we could be getting.
So is Chychrun just the rumors? Chychrun rumors are just done.
Yeah, he's in the rumors. I put him in the. He's in the not likely but
it's just
fun
diva
because the price
now,
is so
right?
high. Yeah, the price is too high. I don't want to get another argument with you. Yeah. So
price is too high.
So we got potential targets. And
for minus 40 defensemen.
Are people talking about Ghost still?
Possibly. So I'm going to start with the in-division guy who I think is going to get shot down first, and that's Tomas Hurtle. He's a guy who's on an expiring contract, so he'd be a rental, potentially. But he's a stud. He's 28. I mean, he's scored at the top level for San Jose. He's been in the playoffs. I think he'd be an interesting guy to add. But I think it would have to be with – yeah.
I don't like his face.
I'm out.
He's been a shark too long.
Done. I understand. That was why he was the one I brought up first because we were going to shoot him down. So
can I just throw one in just to change the pace here? I'm being serious. Oilers just fired Tippett. They got a new guy in. If the new guy doesn't work, and if it's going to follow the trajectory of the Edmonton Oilers, every coach that comes in is just no good, including McClellan. If they don't figure shit out, why can't we trade for Connor McDavid?
Yeah. Who are you giving up? That's
who do you want?
Yeah, right.
You want to clear up the logjam.
True.
take who you want.
Yeah, I was going to say that earlier as a joke. That's a pipe dream. There's no way, like,
Hey, I'm sure people said that about Gretzky back in the day too.
yeah, well, it's a different time. Like back then, they paid $25 million for Gretzky, and it's not happening these days.
We'll
And
send him 50 million
All I know is
inflation.
this, Joe.
Find a
All I know
stamp
is this.
collector and some guy that owes a shitload of money. Yeah, that's
Joe,
not happening.
Joe, here's why I'm saying just the possibility, even though it's minute, just the fact that they haven't come close to being a cup contender, except on paper. He might tell them, I'm not going to be here. When my contract's done, I'm done. And if management hears that, well, then why not get a king's ransom for someone that they're guaranteed? He's already telling you, I'm not signing here again because you guys have fucked my prime seasons here because it's a shit show of an organization.
Okay.
Weren't you?
Yeah. Aside from the pipe dream that it is, imagine the optics. Doesn't matter if you're giving the entire Kings roster and all of their prospects just for McDavid, and then the Kings are just gonna whoever's left over in the prospect pool they're gonna ice with McDavid. Imagine the optics in Edmonton if they traded him. It's not happening. It's Gretzky to LA. Let me clarify that. Drawing parallels.
You're wrong, Joe. You're wrong. It could happen.
It could happen, but just imagine the optics of that.
Oh, I know.
The arena would be burnt down. There would be the trucker stampede would show up to Edmonton Oilers.
Maybe that's for the best.
Joe, I watched a movie called Seven with Brad Pitt, and I'm all, there's no way he's going to shoot the guy when he's saying, what's in the box? What's in the box? Guess what? He shot him. He shot him.
That was a movie.
I hate you, Joe. Touche.
All right, so the next name on my list is Oliver Bjorkstrand from Columbus. He's 26. He's on contract for 5.4 till 2026. I think he's a 30-goal scorer a couple of years ago, and he's almost always over 20 goals. He's a power play kind of guy. You know, pretty much any problem the Kings have with power play, he could be one of the guys who could help solve it. So he's one of the guys who I think they should target. He would be hard to get because he's on such a long contract. But with Columbus rebuilding, there's a possibility you could potentially pry him out of there.
So what are you thinking about giving up for him? Mike's not here, so I'll speak for him. 3 first-round draft picks. But what do you guys actually think?
I would give Rob's virginity.
I mean, it'd probably be something like, Kupari, maybe second-tier defensive prospect and a first, and I don't know if he would do this year or first or second, one of these next 2 drafts.
So Bjorkstrand, I'm not sure about you calling him a 30 goals. I don't think he scored 30 goals. Will you look
There I
that
have
up?
it as
Can someone look that up?
I have it perennial 20 goal scorer. I read it wrong. Sorry. 20 goal scorer. He's always on like a 20 goal pace every season he's played.
Yeah.
And what's his pace this season? Just under 30. Because he scored one tonight. So he's at like 25 this season.
He's scoring at a medium pace.
just like most of the Kings roster.
Right.
Yeah, but I mean, I don't know how many of our guys are going to be able to score 20 goals this season. That's what you're talking about adding. So
it doesn't fit what I had already said. I want a proven, absolute grade A stud.
Okay.
Otherwise,
Next
bring up Firk and Velarde.
Yeah. Next name on the list, Alex Tuck from Buffalo.
Ooh, now we're talking.
Big boy.
Now we're talking.
6'5". The only problem getting him is they just got him for Eichel.
Right.
But they are rebuilding, so you hit them with
that's not the only problem. They have the number 1 prospect pool, according to Scott Wheeler of The Athletic.
I don't read The Athletic because you have to pay, so right. I don't do it.
Number 1 prospect pool. Why would they want more prospects from us if that's all they have?
Yeah, I mean,
Rob wants people to work for free.
Yes. Alex Tuck, he has everything that I like. He has size, he has speed, he has hands. I mean, just I think he can really turn into something kind of special. He's still young enough. I think
He's 25.
okay.
He was surprisingly. I thought he was older. I thought he was in
No.
his high 20s, but he's only 25.
I would give up a pretty penny for him.
I think he was a guy who I always hated playing against him in Vegas, and those are the guys who, when you hate playing against him, you probably want him on your team. And
how's this? He's Arnold Schwarzenegger to Alex follows Danny DeVito.
there you go.
They're twins.
There you go with the movies again.
And the last one on the list, he's a known name. He's in Montreal. It's Tyler Toffoli. He's 29. He's under contract till 2024. It's only 4.25. We know what he can do. Bring him back home.
He already has a Dodgers hat.
He already has a Dodgers hat.
I like Tyler. I don't want him back.
You don't want him back?
I don't want him back.
All right.
Because I don't want him to come back for me to hate him when he's not scoring 25 to 30 goals. I'm happy that he was here. He won a cup with us. He went away. I read some of the little essays he wrote about what it meant to be a king and all. I have fallen in love with him, and I don't want that to change, because if he comes back to being a king, and he does not live up to expectations, I will run him over with my own car.
Yeah, I mean, I think this season his numbers have been down, but Montreal's so bad.
Right.
Whereas the last two seasons were probably statistically some of his better seasons. So I thought that was...
I like rooting for him on the Canadians because it doesn't hurt us in any way. I go, come on. I'll turn on a Canadians game and watch and just root for him only. Joe, you were a Toffoli fan when he was in town, right?
I'm a fan of all kings. I'm not a hater, but I think my wife was the bigger fan.
Yeah, well, yeah. He is kind of good looking.
What I said before, if they're going to make a trade, I would guess they're probably going to make a depth move, like nothing earth shattering. Probably defenseman. That's not a great defenseman, but in case somebody gets hurt, just. So you don't have to keep diving into the uncharted waters of defensive prospects that played.
You don't want to pull up our 13th defensive prospect to
play defense? Exactly. Yeah, exactly. So,
play the kids. Let's do it.
Yeah, I'd say just roll with what we got and see what happens.
Yep.
And honestly, if I were a betting man, if they don't get in, they'll probably just miss. So, and that's success.
What I had said our last podcast was I would like for us just to stand pat, make the playoffs, and get everyone that we have here, homegrown, everything, just get that playoff experience. I would love to make it. My expectations aren't to win the Stanley Cup. If we make the playoffs, how awesome it would be just for all these young guys that we have, the Byfields, the Kalievs, the Trevor Moores, that guy, just to get that playoff experience. That's the next step. And I am willing to wait and take all these steps as a fan with the organization. And hopefully we get back to it soon.
I got one more thing for you guys. You know what would really help us make the playoffs this year? So if you guys hit that like button, subscribe, hit that notification bell.
You gotta smash that
like button. Make Joe happy. All right, Kings fans, that's all we have for you today. Until next time, go Kings, go.
Go Kings.
Do it.